Welcome back to the History Coach. Okay, today we are going to cover stimulus-based MCQs. All that is a multiple choice question that has a stimulus attached to it. This is going to be part of your very first section of the AP exam. If you're taking AP US History, if you're taking AP Modern World History, this is the first part of the exam that you will be taking. So I'm going to show you an example of a stimulus-based MCQ today. It's going to be a short passage based around the Mongol invasion of Russia, or the Golden Horde, in the 13th century. So let's take a look at the actual stimulus that we are going to cover. So here it is. The first thing we need to look at in an MCQ stimulus-based question is who's writing it. And you'll find that at the bottom of the stimulus, right above the actual MCQ question. So we see that this is written by Baron Nicholas Tosika. Now, he was a Hungarian author, a very famous author at the time. Okay, he wrote fiction, nonfiction. Now, he was an author during the 19th century, okay, in Europe. He wrote a famous novel known as The Neath the Hoof of the Tatar, or The Scourge of God. Okay, it was a novel about the Mongol invasion of Russia. So when we look at the actual stimulus, we can see that at the very top, it starts with the Russian Duke, who had spoken before, gave a short account of all that had taken place since the death of Genghis Khan at the partition of his vast dominions. And then the younger Duke, I like to call him Duke W because my mispronunciation of words throughout world history is notorious. So I just tell my students, this is a younger Duke in Russia, okay, Duke W. So he took up the tale. Now, I'm trying to get this Russian accent well, so here we go. Sometimes it turns Australian, sometimes it turns British. Just hang with me. Lord King, he began, these Mongols don't carry on warfare in any honorable, chivalrous way. So right off the bat, your content knowledge tells you that this is feudal Russia. This is feudal Europe. When you see chivalrous, they fight only to destroy. They are bloodthirsty, merciless. Their only object is to plunder, slay, murder, and burn, not even to make any use of what lands they conquer. They are like a swarm of locusts. They stay till everything is eaten up, till all are plundered, and what they can't carry off, that they kill or reduce to ashes. They are utterly faithless. Their words and promises are not in the least to be trusted. I kind of sound like Dracula, but hang in with me. And those who do not make friends with them are the first upon whom they wreak their vengeance if anything goes wrong. We are telling you no fairy tales. We know to our own cost what they are. We tell you what we have seen with our own eyes. And let me tell you this, my Lord King, their lust of conquest and devastation knows no bounds. If it is our turn today, it will be yours tomorrow. And therefore, while we seek refuge in your land, we at the same time warn you to be prepared, for the storm is coming, and may sweep across your frontiers sooner than you think. So after you read that stimulus, you have to put that content knowledge into play, what your professor, what your teacher has taught you, okay? You have to know everything that you need to know about the Mongol invasion of Russia. We know at the time they were scattered principalities. They followed a feudal system. They had very powerful Russian princes. Now, when the Mongols begin with Genghis Khan, in the 1200s started to expand all throughout Afro-Eurasia. You really start to see um, religious institutions come together to unite against these Mongols, and especially all throughout what we know today as Hungary. Okay, Bulgaria. We know that they reached as far as Austria, and they pushed into Europe. Okay, you also have to know a lot about their intention into going into modern day Russia, like Kiev and Moscow. Their intention was obviously to conquer, but you also know that the Mongols were really, really good at fighting in the winter. So, whoa, you could see Napoleon failed in Russia. You could see that the Germans in World War II failed in Russia because of the winter. But the Mongols were pretty darn good at winter warfare. We know the Mongols didn't want to live in the forest, though. So we also know why they left Russia, or the actual Golden Horde. They left for a handful of reasons. The number one was the death of their Khan. So this political unity or ununity throughout Central Asia in Mongol kind of left them vulnerable in the areas that they have currently conquered at that time. So a lot of the Mongols had to leave, okay, because of the death of their current Khan. So knowing all this, okay, knowing that this actual Mongol invasion of Russia helped unite these Russian princes. They also, were following the call from the papacy. The papacy, all right, called on these Russian princes to unite, but also to combat Mongol warfare by understanding Mongol warfare, by understanding how to combat siege warfare, take up crossbows, fight fire with fire. So you could see that even though Russia, or these Russian principalities, were conquered at the time, they were very, very successful in actually uniting Russia. So all that content knowledge that you have learned from your teacher has to go into being able to answer 2 or 3 MCQs. All right, so we look at the first question. It says, what did the Russian Duke think motivated the Mongols? So we should know what motivated the Mongols without even listening to the Russian Duke's firsthand account, but it helps reading the actual account. So is it A, is it B, is it C, is it D? I'll give you a couple seconds. All right, you can answer it. The Mongols were interested primarily in seizing wealth rather than controlling Russian territory. That could be true. The Mongols chose their tactics in warfare because of those tactics were used in fairy tales. Right off the bat, process of elimination, POS. Wipe that out. The Mongols believed they could fool their foes with rumors of atrocities. That was never in the actual first-hand account by the Russian Duke. Cross that off. The Mongols wanted to be thought of as honorable warriors. Nowhere in any of the Russian Duke's accounts were they viewed as an honorable warrior. So in his account was that they were interested primarily in seizing, through any tactics that they had at their disposal. So remember, when you're looking at an MCQ, use all of those things. But most importantly, let's talk about using the process of elimination. So the second question, the most valid counter-argument. So that's the biggest thing you have to look at going into a stimulus-based MCQ, was this counter-argument. What we know about the Mongols through content knowledge is they weren't all bloodthirsty. They allowed local princes to rule. They allowed for religious tolerance. Yes, was there discrimination in every khanate in terms of, Mongols get top priority, Mongols don't get taxed as high as, other conquered peoples. But we definitely know that the Mongols were not 110% bloodthirsty, even though they killed millions in the process. Remember, Mongols, awesome, not awesome. A lot of my classes will say that the Mongol awesomeness actually outweighed the non-awesomeness, if that's even a word. So now the counter argument to their description, of the Mongols was that A, the Mongols took only what they needed to survive from the people they conquered. B, appreciated architecture, art, and hence rarely destroyed cities. No, they destroyed cities, but when we think of Mongol architecture and art and monuments, it's not really there. Okay, you don't see, you do see Genghis Khan and a gigantic horse statue in Mongolia today, but not throughout old conquered territories that they conquered. Now, had no reason to invade other areas of Western Russia. No. Okay, established political institutions in the territories they conquered. Okay, now we know that they did establish political institutions in territories that they conquered. They didn't just lob the heads off of conquered peoples, but they did want to establish political institutions in every khanate with the brightest minds, okay, from all over their empire. So, yes, this is a short but actually long but interesting video on how to tackle an MCQ that has a stimulus attached to it. Okay, the majority of your questions on the AP exam are going to deal with these stimulus-based MCQs. So remember, use content knowledge going into the actual question. Use process of elimination. Okay, if the two of the responses are nothing that your professor talked about, nothing that you read about, mark them off, all right, right off the bat. And then you got a 50-50 chance. So I hope you enjoyed the video today. We know that it lasted a little bit, about 10 minutes, but if you follow the history coach, okay, we're going to tackle every section of the AP exam. This is just a very good example of what you could see in a Unit 2 MCQ stimulus-based question. Thanks again.